What's up, y'all? I don't even know if I'm gonna have enough video to even record everything that I want to say, but I'm gonna try.
Wait, a clock.
And I want to talk about this whole fiasco thing
Happy.
that's going on. Thank you, baby. I want to talk about this whole fiasco thing that's going on
God.
in the current events. We just was sprung. It was just sprung on us about the Department of Education and what they plan on doing and what they want to do. And you know, right now it's nothing to get all in a fluster for because we know that it's not going to happen right away. But like I mentioned in my video earlier, I think like it is important for people to just pay attention just a little bit because a lot of stuff is going on. And this is why I be trying to tell people to look deeper than what it is. You have to, because even if you're not looking at it deeper than it is, there are people that are looking at it deeper than it is, and they are making things deeper than what it is. Like, it, I don't know how to make it make sense, but that's what's going on. And when it comes to how they want to mess with the Department of Education, now listen, okay, um, I am all for a reconstruction of the education system because all of us, all Americans know that it just has not been right since the time of them building education in this country. It just it's not right. And it even shows globally that we don't do so hot in the education system as Americans. Okay, so I'm all for construction, and I believe that a large part of the country would be all for reconstruction. Now, taking it away is a bit much, and I think that that's what they mean. I really do think that Trump team really mean that, like, hey, we trying to not dismantle it, but hey, we trying to reconstruct it, and they're using different words. I mean, I would hope that that's what they mean. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we about due for a reconstruction. We could do a reconstruction. We can, like, revise, a little bit, because there are things that are in place that don't make sense. And I'm gonna speak about my situation, not my whole situation, not my whole experience, but just some things to give light on what I'm trying to say. So, I'm like half and half when it comes to the education system. I believe that it does work if know where to go, what kind of school to go to, what kind of things, as long as you're doing your part, whatever. Education does work. Am I in agreement to what they're teaching? Everything that they're teaching? No. Am I in agreement to the way that they come up with these curriculums and tell these teachers what to teach and all yada yada? No. But what I'm really not looking forward to is a group of people who may be on the spectrum themselves talking about how people that have special needs, they don't deserve funds for education, or they don't deserve an education, period. I said what I said about them being on the spectrum because I have family members who are on the spectrum. So my life literally is on a day-to-day basis dealing with individuals on the spectrum. So I know a lot about the spectrum. I know a lot about disabled children, disabled adults, people that have special needs. I know a lot about that. I like literally know, like I have certifications in it, so I know what I'm talking about. I have certification in mental health, so I know what I'm talking about. Okay, um, when I say, or when I can see when there's a person that's related to the spectrum community,
Mimo.
and the fact that he wants to strip and take away stuff from that community because he feels like funding them is a waste. Wow, like I don't know what people see when they hear that someone is special needs or has special, because no one is special needs or has special needs, but it doesn't always mean that they're gonna be a burden. Special needs is a spectrum. That's why we call it autism spectrum disorder, because it's a wide variety of things. Autism can look like a lot of things, and it's mostly just a social emotional disorder. but most people don't see it as that. They think that, oh, they got special needs, they're slow, they can't learn. People with autism disorder are highly intelligent, baby. Okay, matter of fact, a lot of people work in high ranks of jobs that are on the spectrum, and y'all wouldn't never know. So yeah, they just learn differently. They use different tools in order to get by differently. Doesn't mean that they're any less than. Doesn't mean that they deserve to be at the bottom. Doesn't mean that they deserve to be not included in things. And it doesn't mean that they're mentally challenged either. Now, in some cases there are cases of severe autism, and yes, we would say that those people are mentally challenged, but for the most part autism is very mild to moderate, to very, yeah, very mild to moderate. That's why we call high functioning autism, when you're able to do the things that everyone else is able to do, except for maybe some things, or maybe you might get a little confused, because it also is about processing. And I know a large amount of Americans have an issue with processing disorder. Y'all ain't gonna tell me otherwise. This is why I think it's so hard for Americans to pay attention in school. Like, at first it was just a group of people were considered slow, and it was African Americans. We were told that we were slow because we didn't know how to speak English. Baby, well, it's not our original language. Of course we don't know, and so to tell someone that they're slow because they were never taught something, or that's not what they're from, that don't make sense. So there's a lot of skeptics and skeptics about autism. And when I say, because when I hear special needs, I always go to autism, because if anyone's aware, research is finding that a lot more adults and children are being diagnosed with autism. And if that's the case, I'm starting to feel that maybe it's common. It's more common than we think, and it's something that we don't need to get into a frenzy over. We just need to learn how to we just need to understand that people learn differently, because basically that's what autism is. You're just learning differently. You see the world differently. You learn differently. There's some people that need visuals to learn. There's some people that need audio to learn. There's some people that need to be hands-on to learn. So, and we learn them things in school. That's literally our senses. And that's another thing about autism is senses, our sensory. So it's just a different way of learning, and I feel like that's why autism is coming up so heavily now. And then to have a group of people that think that that's dumb to fund those, those type of organizations that help people that are on a spectrum severely or what have you. And I'm literally looking at individuals who may be on the spectrum themselves, and it just flabbergasts me. It just flabbergasts me how these individuals want to implement all of this, and I'm really feeling like, yo, y'all are the prime uh example of everything y'all trying to dismantle. Am I wrong? Am I the only one that sees that? That's why I say projection is a hell of a drug. Projection is a real thing. Which brings me to my other point about people having insecurities, about how people um are so of the flesh and so of themselves, and just so about being presentful, and just being of superficial things, and how they may not have insecurities, but for some reason when they see an individual is different, or an individual is okay with themselves, but what like there's an individual that's like off compared to the rest of society, like they don't look like the rest of, or they might have a mark or something, just something that makes them look off to the to a certain individuals. It's it's weird how, like I said, they might not have insecurities, right? Or they may claim they don't have insecurities, but for some reason an insecurity is grown when that individual sees that there's a flaw in someone else, and that someone else is not acknowledging that flaw on them, and they feel like that's I don't know how to explain it, y'all. Okay, so let me try to throw an example. Okay, so you have two people, right? So you have a person. Let's take um let's take the condition. What is the condition? The condition that that Winnie Harlow has. Vertigo, is that what it is? So let's take vertigo. Okay, y'all know what I'm trying to say. The thing that Michael Jackson had, y'all know what I'm trying to say. And how we all like, well, I ain't gonna say we, but how people pointed at him for being different. His skin was changing, and there's all kinds of things about him and all that. And then now we're learning that that's a real condition, and people really going through that, whether they're whatever, you know. And so what happened was we didn't have that insecurity. There was no insecurity about that. But when we saw that, we saw that come into light, that we instantly grew an insecurity. And it wasn't an insecurity about, oh, that might happen to us, but it's an insecurity that someone else grew because they saw that someone was comfortable with having that flaw. Does that make sense to y'all? I see that a lot. I just saw it today and it made me think about that. And it made me also think that's why I'm talking about all of this, because I'm like, that's where that's like projection and things like that comes from, because you'll have someone that, is not used to seeing something, and then they see something they're not used to, and then they start low-key trying to pick at that, trying to make that individual feel insecurity, trying to have an insecurity. I know I'm getting somewhere. That means something. I know I'm getting somewhere. And it's like, this is where like people start feeling subconscious about themselves, subconscious. And that's where people start growing things about this. So like, oh, I don't like this about myself. And then that's when people go into body dysmorphia and stuff. Ow, I get it. That's okay. That makes so much sense. Them insecurities don't even be yours, bro. They be other people's, because people feel like that's a flaw and you should feel bad about having that right there. Or like if you have a mole somewhere or a mark or a scar somewhere, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's like, you can see that person moves along with life fine. They know they have it, but why should they fester and fluster over that and not live their life because they have a flaw? And why are you holding on to that insecurity that they don't even have? How are you insecure for somebody else? That's what it is. If you are insecure for somebody else, that means you have insecurities yourself. Period. If someone can come around you, you can go around someone and see that they're different and instantly feel some type of way, like, oh my gosh, they should be self-aware of that. Or like, oh, how do you not know they got self-aware? Maybe they are self-aware and they don't care. Some people literally do not care because they know life is bigger than that. Wow. Mind blown. Like, top pull back, bro. Like, people really will put you in their own securities about yourself that you don't even have. So yeah, stop letting people do that shit to y'all, bro. Don't let nobody sit there and something off about you. Of course you know it. That's what I'm saying. Like, the world really be ready to tell you how to go fix yourself up. Like, bro, I'm already fixed up. I'm cool. Like, don't worry about me. Like, that's wild. But I'm glad that my camera or whatever didn't cut off. It let me ramble for 13 minutes or whatever. But that's all I had to say and get off my chest. Like, I'm going to start getting the stuff that's on my chest off my chest, just like everybody else do. But I'm just not going to be loud about it. I just want to sit here and have a conversation. But that's wild. But yeah, so I hope y'all having a great Thursday. I'll catch up with y'all later.